there is a need for journalists who can write in an educated way about agriculture.
We have quite a fascination with America here in the UK, of course we do, because you guys were us at one time. Could I be a professor in it?
No, we need to do a course.
I suppose you could tap yourself and say, I'm a professor.
I don't know enough.
You can't ask me, though. Are you going to ask me?
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, but you don't have to tell me.
If we're going to feed 9 billion people, then we have to do it in a big way.
So, my next argument is, are we going to have to feed 9 billion people? I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we're all
Fed by farmers.
Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
And me, Iona Murray.
We are seated for those of you watching us. Hi there. We are sitting with some straw bales. We're on a couple of Crystalyx tubs. We're on the farm.
We are.
I was just giving Iona a tour and it worked great because we have to do an intro for this week's podcast as well. Those of you listening on audio, hi there. I'm recording it on my knee. Who are we thanking first of all?
Crystalyx and Tracesure by Animax.
Yes, thanks to our almost a year now running sponsors. Crystalyx, we're sitting on a couple of tubs. I just got 3 pallets delivered yesterday.
Did you?
Very exciting. This is my 4th year working with Crystalyx.
Wow.
I think I said this before, they were the first sponsor I ever had for the sheep game.
That's big.
So it's our 4th year working with them.
Where are they based?
Silith is where it's all made.
Right, okay.
Which is somewhere in England.
Interesting.
I've been to it. I think it's not far south, like Cumbria or Carlisle or somewhere. Silith is the name of it. Yeah, it's quite a big.
How was your trip to Grow?
Oh yeah, I went for a coffee with Graham from Crystalyx. We do it every year.
Nice.
It's the annual Crystalyx coffee.
Who pays?
Graham does.
Does he?
Yeah. I had a local hero as well, which is like a stack of black pudding and eggs.
Oh, did you? How was it?
Massive portion. Grow is good. Grow is very good. The cakes are far too big. We didn't have any cakes, but we had a good fry up and a coffee, and we just discussed loads of things. Obviously, their continued support of the podcast has been a massive one. Continued support of the sheep game, and just big plans they've got for the future and all that. Okay. So, and of course, Tracesure, Animax, Bolison.
Yep.
Get it done. Now, who's on this week, Iona?
It is Jeff Miller.
And Jeff is American.
He is. He lives in Arkansas. He is a professor of...
There was a boy from Arkansas who didn't listen to his ma when she told him that she should go to school. What's that song?
No idea.
Oh, what's that? Tina, you're behind the camera. What's that song? There was a boy from Arkansas who didn't listen. Could you Google that, please?
Is it Scottish?
No, it's American or something. It's like a country song.
Oh,
you should go to school. People will be listening to this.
But you said ma in it.
Well, they say ma. Ma and Pa. They do.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
The auctioneer.
Right.
What are you going to bid for him? Yeah, of course it is. So yes, that was a good tangent. So Jeff is agricultural communication,
professor,
but he does a lot of agricultural commentating and teaching people how to positively represent farming, and it's actually such an important subject. And when we heard from that he was here with SAC doing a few things, I actually thought perfect timing, because we've saw so much recently with the inheritance tax and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And they'll go about and they'll interview different people, and I just find a lot of people say the wrong thing, in my view. And with a little bit of coaching by somebody like Jeff, I think it would be really positive for the whole agriculture sector. So Jeff's got a lot to share on that. I do ask him who he votes for. Which,
it didn't go down well, did it, that?
But I understand where he's coming from. Like, it's divides opinion, that. There'll be a lot of people listening to this and will no doubt comment saying that it's very rude to ask someone who they vote for. I just don't think so.
Yeah.
Plus, what is our podcast if we don't ask the hard questions?
True that.
You know, I like to ask the hard questions.
Should we also just say the audio might not be great in the intro and outro, but it is good in the actual podcast?
Yeah, the audio is not like this. Anyone watching the video footage of this, it's me with the phone on my knee recording it on voice memos on the farm. I've had to sell the microphones to pay for the
and the chairs
we're sitting on Crystalyx. My bum's going numb already. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's go.
Here's Jeff. And we're here with Mr. Jeff Miller. Howdy, Jeff.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
You've had your cowboy hat on.
I have a cowboy hat. I don't know.
Oh, you brought a cowboy hat.
Well, it's always here. What part of the States are you from?
I'm from Arkansas.
Do we wear these in Arkansas?
We do wear those in Arkansas. Yes, we do.
But at this time of year would be leather. Felt. Yes, and you only switched this in April, or?
Yeah, so around September, you would switch to a felt.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Just warmer.
and then April, you would. Yeah, so in September it starts to get cold. Put the felt on. It's usually beaver felt or rabbit felt.
Okay.
So it's fur felt.
Do you wear one?
Sometimes.
Okay, I like it. Okay. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do.
So I am a professor in agricultural communications at the University of Arkansas.
I think it's incredible they have a professor for that. We don't even have. Do we even have professors for agriculture here? Yeah. We do. Okay, there we go. Shows what I know.
Many colleges and universities here in the UK have agriculture programs, but there are no agriculture communications programs. So that's why I'm here.
So what is that? What is agricultural communications?
Okay, so it is what you are doing right now.
Could I be a professor in it?
No, we need to do a course.
I suppose you could tap yourself and say, I'm a professor.
I don't know enough. So it's spreading the good word of the farmer.
It is, and students get training in journalism and marketing communications, but they also get a background in agricultural sciences, and so you sort of combine those two things together, and it gives you someone who can communicate well about agricultural issues, topics, innovations, that kind of thing.
We definitely need that here.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You'll have seen you've been here since September.
Yes.
So you'll be well aware of the whole inheritance tax thing and the budget that came out. And one big issue I saw off the back of that, and it was partly the reason I did a little thing on the TV about it, and we've spoken about that on this podcast already. But part of the reason I agreed to do that was that I'd heard a lot of farmers and people speaking to the media, and I just thought they were just missing they just weren't good communicators. And it's almost a bit detrimental to our argument. And I thought, let me have a go at it and try and speak to the public. And that was really why I wanted to do it. So I think there really is, especially moving forward the way things are, there probably is a real market for educating people on how to be PR trained to promote what we do in farming without being condescending, without being. I always hate the narrative of you need us. Like, I hate that narrative. You need us. It's you're not going to win people over with that because it's almost like a threat.
Yeah,
it's a good point. Right? Yeah.
It's far too negative. I like more the argument of we are the same as you. We just want to go in and do our job, and a great result of that is we feed the public. Like, I don't farm. I said this. I don't farm to feed people. I farm because I enjoy it. Like, that's why I do it.
Yeah, me too. I would say the same thing. Yeah. I'm glad.
I'm
glad I'm feeding people, but there's a very I have very personal reasons for farming. It's heritage too.
Yeah.
Heritage. Grandfather did it. My family did it, and now I want to do it too.
And what are you farming back home?
Oh, I have beef cattle back home.
Okay.
Yeah. Angus, red Angus, black Angus.
Right.
So family farm.
Well, kind of. Yeah, kind of. My family doesn't enjoy it, so my kids, they don't enjoy it, and because I made them work on it so much when they were younger, and now they don't want to be out there. So, but I do it for myself. I enjoy being out there and taking care of the animals. Yeah.
So what sort of numbers are you running?
So about 50, what you would call sucklers, is that right? Sucklers. So we call them cow-calf pairs. So mama cows is the way we refer to them in the States.
Yeah. Love that.
So I have 50 mama cows.
Okay, and 50 in no other stock.
So I have I'll have a couple of bulls that service those cows, but I don't do sheep or any kind of goats or anything like that. It's just beef cattle. Yeah.
And you finish them yourself?
A few I will finish and sell beef, but mostly I sell them at weaning time, which is somewhere around 600-700 pounds.
And when they go to feedlots,
they'll go to a backgrounder first at that size. So if they weigh about 700 pounds, they need to get up to about 800 to 900 pounds before they would go to a feedlot. So they go to what's called a backgrounder.
Is that so they go out to grass somewhere?
Yeah, they'll go to grass.
And just an extensive system, lots of acres.
Yeah, many acres out there. People with lots of land, and they'll buy my cattle, graze them for 2 or 3 months, put a little more weight on them, and then sell them.
And what are you getting for a 700-pound calf?
Yeah, it's about a steer would be worth about $1,500 to $1,600 right now at that weight. Yeah.
Ashley, what is $1,500 to $1,600?
You have to do it in pounds.
What is that in pounds? We'll just find out just now.
Somewhere around 1,250, 1,300 pounds.
Okay, that's pretty strong, I would say.
Yeah.
£1,200. So £1,200 for a weaned calf at what age? At 9 months?
So I wean it around 7 months.
7 months. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that. I would say that's better than us here.
although we're very good here.
The market is stronger than it's ever been in the U.S. I don't know if you knew that, but our beef market is skyrocketed.
I see the odd. I think it's Barn Talk, and there's a few American podcasts that I see them come across. It's one Get Rich Farming or something. It's not quite that, but it's like it's a piss take on the fact it's so hard to make money from farming. And they're talking just now, and also they've stopped taking in live cattle from Mexico. And am I right in saying you get about 27 million live?
Yeah, I don't know the number, but that's good guess.
Yeah.
So why have they stopped?
It's bird flu, is it?
Yeah. So well, there are
With
lots
the
of
cattle?
reasons. It's
In the cattle, yeah.
yeah. I think it comes down to just international trade, and we need to serve ourselves first. And the new administration is going to really prioritize that, serving U.S. farmers first, and then working with imports after. So yeah, priority.
Surely that's a good thing.
I think it is. You can ask different people and they'll give you different answers.
You have been here since September. Does that mean you didn't vote in the election?
I was able to go home and vote.
So you went home just to vote?
You can't ask me though. Are you going to ask me?
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, but you don't have to tell me. So you went home to vote?
I did go home to vote.
We have this mad thing in this country here that it's like you're not allowed to ask people who they vote for, which is absolute madness. Because it's like,
I know, why is that?
Folks say it's like etiquette, but it's mad. Like it's anyway.
Etiquette is mad, or just that?
No,
part of
etiquette is important, but that being etiquette is mad because like we're here to learn about you and to talk about farming in the world, and I think politics is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So who did you vote for?
Did you really ask me that?
Yeah, you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell me.
Say no.
You've already said you're pro-America first and X, Y, and Z. So I mean, I could hang my hat on it.
Oh, I don't know if I would do that.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I need to be led by a decent human being as well. So that gives you another hint.
I like it. Okay, you said enough. Right, that's interesting because you'll be against the grain, I would think, with a lot of farmers. My feeling, certainly, I was in America, when was that? October, in Michigan, the UP, they call it the Upper Peninsula, and it was very Trump, like Trump
Was
shops.
it?
Like Trump shops at the side of the road. And,
Right.
yeah. Crazy signs in people's gardens, like crazy signs, like ones with Biden with a Hitler tash and all that.
Really?
Oh, like it's just stuff you would never see here.
Oh my goodness.
Never see here.
Yeah.
It was
We get a little wild with our signage, I think, and it gets emotional. It does.
Yeah.
it's totally different. To
is,
politics is a big part of our culture here as well, because it's all over the news, and I think more and more people are interested in it, or are they disinterested? No, they are interested in it. I think.
I don't know.
More so than ever before, the media puts it in front of them.
I know it's become entertainment more than politics.
Yeah, you say that.
I listen to
Yeah.
a podcast. I used to listen to The Rest is Politics, but I don't like that so much now. I listen to Political Currency, which is Ed Balls and George Osborne, who's both of them were part of the cabinet at once upon a time. But for me, it's almost like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like it's
so embarrassing,
and isn't it? It's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous that it's entertaining. Like it is, and it's depressing. It's so I listen to it, just incensed, thinking, how is this?
Yeah, it could be fictional.
Yeah, it could be fiction. It's just so ridiculous. And America's every bit the same. Like
it is.
Oh,
That's
especially
why I was
just
saying
now.
I'm embarrassed of the way it is. In America, it's just nearly all entertainment, and people's votes are based on were they entertained, and that's not a good way to elect a president, in my opinion.
No, there's probably true in that too. But there is some good. I can see good merits on both sides from the American side of thing. Like I think Trump does a lot of things that I can totally understand why he wins people over.
Right.
And an interesting thing I said to someone the other day, and this might upset some listeners, but almost similar to Boris Johnson here, is you know what you're getting with him. You know he's corrupt. Of course he's a bit corrupt. You know he's a bit the wrong side of the law, and he'll say whatever he likes, and blah. You know what you get. See with the other side, like they're too nicey and false. You don't know what you're getting, and that is the thing I think that wins a lot of people over. He'll answer every question, even if it's just nonsense. He'll answer it. What people hate, the public here especially now, and we're seeing it a lot with Labour just now, they never answer a question.
True.
Like even if he spouts a lot of nonsense, he'll answer it. But
is that a good thing, though? Is it really a good thing?
I don't think it's a good thing.
No, but it's what the public want. But they just want somebody to answer a question.
Yeah,
they
that's
do want
true.
an answer.
Here they never answer a question.
No. Yeah.
Like,
Even if it is just, I don't know.
oh, I'd love one of them just to
Imagine
say,
if they just said, cards on the table, folks, I'm not sure.
aye. I would just love that.
So would I.
I don't expect them to know everything. I expect them to be honest and direct with us. And I'll be like, I'll be honest, I know nothing about what you're talking about there. Give me a minute, I'll find out. Wait there. Oh, wait there. I'll make a phone call. Can we find out about this for this person? Thank you. I'm here to manage things. I'm not here to know every single daft little fact that you're going to throw at me in an interview. There's an answer for you.
Right. Let's move
Too
away
much
from politics. Let's move away. Let's pause while we pause.
But it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll hear a word from our sponsors and then we'll get back into it talking about agricultural communications.
Let's do it.
Crystalyx Extra High Energy Feed Blocks have been providing high energy supplementation to ewes, lambs and rams in the UK since 1978. Packed full of protein, vitamins, minerals and trace elements, Crystalyx Extra High Energy has been proven to increase live lamb numbers and improve lamb daily live weight gain at a cost of only 4 to 7 pence per ewe per day. To view the full Crystalyx range and find your nearest stockist, visit crystalyx-global.com.
And we're back. Thank you for that one. And now, listen, agricultural communications, I think very important, as I said before we got on a tangent. Although I will say, I think it is all linked to politics.
No, I agree. Yeah, I do
because
agree.
they are the ones that are going to mess us up. Do you think the future's bright for American agriculture?
For American agriculture? Absolutely. How can the future not be bright for agriculture? People need food no matter what. They need fiber. They need so many things. The future is bright for agriculture.
But see what you're doing silly there, because
Was I silly?
Well, no, it's silly because you're using common sense. Oh. And you can't do that in today's world.
No. Okay. So what type of sense should we use? Uncommon.
Oh no, you just need to look at what the corporate money's doing, and is agriculture a target for big money? And if so, does that mean the future's bright for agriculture?
So if you're talking about the heritage of agriculture and the family part of agriculture, the culture of agriculture, the future is not as bright for that, because agriculture will change.
Okay.
And if we're going to feed people, then we have to feed people in a big way. And while there's a place for local foods, slow foods, organic foods, all of that, there's a niche for that, or a niche, however you want to say.
Yeah.
So there is that. But if we're going to feed this many people in the world, then we're going to have to do things in a big way, and agriculture is going to be big.
So you think it is going to go large scale corporate farming?
Yeah, that's where it's leaning. And so the thing about corporate farming is that it still will be done by families on farms. It's just that those families will be working for companies rather than for themselves. And that's what's going to happen in the future of farming, in my opinion.
Could there be positives in that way, that then these companies will hold more power? So in some ways, their farmers could get more money.
On you go, you're the expert.
I don't know if I would call myself the expert, but I'm also a part of this discussion, because as a farmer myself, and I don't necessarily want to have to answer to a big company like that. And that's sad that so many family farms that have been in the family for so long would have a new boss and wouldn't be able to make farm decisions all on their own. But there are some securities in working for a big company like that. Some financial securities that you might not have if you're a family farm. So, you see the good and the bad.
Have you ever heard the quote, "It's better to die on your feet than live forever on your knees"?
Sounds very Scottish.
Have you seen that quote? I think it's actually it's a women's right. I think it's a women's rights quote. There's a statue in Glasgow.
Okay, I thought maybe William Wallace said
No, it's very William Wallace-esque. It's very William Wallace-esque. But no, it's actually a statue in Glasgow along the Clydeside end of King George V Bridge, just at the bottom of Jamaica Street. There's a statue, and I can't remember who is attached to that quote, but it always stuck with me. It's such a good one. It's better to die on your feet than live forever on your knees.
Playing devil's
I'm
advocate.
just wondering about that, when you're saying answering to somebody for all your days and being at their beck and call on your land. Well, it wouldn't be your land by that point, I would guess.
So that's the
I just wonder
culture.
what's better.
The culture of agriculture is going to change, most likely, and that's what a lot of people would fight against. And they'll slow that change a bit. But if we're going to feed 9 billion people, then we have to do it in a big way.
So, my next argument is: are we going to have to feed 9 billion people?
Oh, so okay, so You've thought about how many people we have here.
Not me. More so, everything you've been told just now is that the population is slowing rapidly.
True.
And I believe the stat is by 2050, like 1 in 10 people will be born in Nigeria. Like the Western civilization, the birth rates are slowing. I think the UK was the first year since the war that we were at a loss in terms of there was more deaths than births.
Why is that? Do we know why?
Wow.
multiple reasons. Women being educated is the first reason. You know, women now have careers, they have jobs. You know, back in the post-war time, you could still run a house on one wage, and it was very old-fashioned. And you know, the women had kids, and families were huge. Like my dad was one of 6 or 7. Families were much bigger as well. Now, what happens is people will have 1 or 2 kids, and they'll have them later in life. Not always, of course. There's always different examples to that. And farming probably is a bit of a bucks the trend a bit on that across the whole. But I think that is, am I right in saying that is unless you have a different view on it, that is the main reason why the population is changing?
So I don't know that much about population growth. I do know that eventually we will have that many people on this planet. It may be slower than what researchers predicted 5 or 10 years ago, but that's the population will continue to grow unless something catastrophic happens, I think.
So see how we talk quite often on this podcast how difficult it is to make money from farming. And I believe part of that is because a lot of farmers they're not business people.
Okay.
So they maybe don't, number one, they're not running a farm from a business perspective all the time. Like for what they're not making decisions based on what makes financial sense. Not looking at anybody in the room. And would, just playing devil's advocate, also just side note, I hate the idea of corporates running farms, but could there be benefits in that farms are being run by people whose their number one priority is actually making money?
I disagree. But Jeff, what do you think on that question?
I am the person who makes poor decisions because I like the way a bull looks. And I just bought a very expensive bull and I did not need it. Yeah. But sorry, Marcus, that I bought the bull from, but I didn't need that bull, but man, such a good looking bull. Yeah.
And life, it's not, you know, farming sounds ridiculous, but farming isn't really about making money. I know we say that. For me personally, it's about, I just love it. I do it because I enjoy it. You know, I'm fortunate that I can do YouTube. But you know, YouTube is like we rent everything. Our farm wouldn't make money if I wasn't doing YouTube. That's the reality of it. Yeah. You know, but YouTube allows me the luxury of farming. And to me, it is a luxury. Like, I absolutely love it's just good for my mental health. Yep. Like, it really is good. It's my mental health is the main reason I farm. And that's why, like, the idea you're saying there of working for someone else. Plus, you know, I spent 12 years working for someone else, and generally speaking, the people you're working for are idiots. Do you know what I mean? Especially
back that.
But especially in the public sector. Private sector, maybe not so much because they have to make money. It has to be profit. Public sector is just money down the drain. Like, you can have any idiot in charge of things, especially in the police. Like, the way the promotion system and everything works there. Oh, like, it was so hard for me to go back to working for somebody. I would really struggle with it.
So I farm part-time, and I have a farming partner, and he also farms part-time. And we call our time out there tractor therapy or cattle therapy. So it really is a way to escape and feel good about doing something. Yeah. Not that I don't feel good about being a professor, but still the stresses of that job go away when I go out there, and I do use it for that purpose. But this is about my 8th year of getting back into farming after being a professor for so long. And in my 8th year, I'm starting to realize that I can do some things to make a little money, and I have to start being smarter about how I do my business. Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you've been doing since you've been over in the UK. And sort of what differences you're seeing with agricultural education with the US.
Okay, yeah. So I've been able to visit some farms and some places, and one of the first things I did when I was here was I went to the Kelso ram sale.
Oh yeah, we were at that one as well. Yeah.
I don't know how many rings they had going, but and how many auctioneers they had, but that was pretty exciting. So those are the kinds of things we have in the U.S. Maybe not quite that many rings going at once, but those are the kinds of agricultural exhibits you would see in the U.S. I went to Agri, as I've mentioned before, and we have those kinds of activities. So those things, especially the Agri, that is ag communications, right? That's so. In fact, our students sometimes will study event planning just to be able to represent agricultural organizations at events like that. And so they get, along with their agriculture background, they get that kind of training. Anyway, so back to your question, why am I here and what are the differences? Well, first of all, I'm here because, as we mentioned earlier, there are no programs in the United Kingdom that are called agricultural communications academic programs. There may be some that teach sort of extension training or service type training in agriculture, but there's no such thing as an agricultural communications academic program in the UK. In the United States, there are more than 50 spread across the United States degree programs in agricultural communications or journalism. So I've done a little research on that, and turns out that all that information is definitely true. It also turns out that there is a huge group of professionals in the United Kingdom, Scotland included, who are their jobs are to be agricultural communicators, but they either studied journalism or communications and had a background in agriculture, or they had a background in or an education in agriculture and picked up the journalism and communications along the way, but there was nothing that married those two things. So I did a little research, got some publications on it, and it's become a little bit of my career path, is to figure out how we can expand our discipline into the United Kingdom. Okay. So I linked up with Scotland's Rural College, and that's what we're doing. We're developing a course right now, a series of micro-certificates in agricultural communications, and eventually we hope that those courses will, or those modules will turn into a master's degree in agricultural communications.
Okay, and that could be implemented, like you say, in perhaps agricultural journalism, or working with SAC in sections within that business.
So really, I like to describe the profession sort of in two different paths. Students can go into marketing communications. So any company who needs to do marketing communications related to agriculture, food, the environment, there are career opportunities with those organizations with a degree in AgCom. But also agricultural journalism is still alive and well, and there is a need for journalists who can write in an educated way about agriculture. So I would say those are the two most common career paths. The consulting arm of SRUC, SAC, those people are communicators too. They're more science communicators. I would describe them as science communicators. And science communication is also a part of agricultural communication. In fact, we'll have a module that's called Science Communication in Agriculture, where students can learn to become stronger communicators about scientific topics and innovations and things like that. Yeah.
And would you find in America, like at sort of high school, secondary school stage, is agriculture seen as a valued career choice?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it?
So, are you familiar with FFA and agricultural education in the United States? No?
Really not,
Okay.
no.
So FFA was an organization, those letters used to stand for Future Farmers of America, sort of like your Young Farmers organization, but it's integrated into our schools. And so students in school, in high schools in particular, they take classes in agriculture while they're in high school. So they can take an animal science class, a food science class, a crops or agronomy class, and many others. So they can take those classes while they're students in school, and then they can also go to university and get a degree in those topics.
So that's integrated into the curriculum.
Into our public education system. And the FFA goes along with that, and it's sort of a club. But like I said, the club is organized in schools, so students are almost forced to meet together and do those professional development things that agriculture people need to know how to do. They need to be good public speakers. They need to be good business planners. And so FFA helps students learn how to do that. And also all of those students in school, they have to have an agricultural project. So they do a lot of hands-on learning, and each student who is in the agriculture program in a high school has to have a project that they're working on. So maybe it's raising one animal, or maybe it's raising a herd of animals or a flock of animals. But those three things, the classroom teaching, the FFA leadership type program, and then the project, those three things work together to sort of make up our high school agricultural education program.
We need it. Don't we?
And I have to say, shout out Wallace Curry, who we mentioned earlier, along with a few other people that are really getting behind pushing a new agriculture. Well, at the moment, it's a sort of petition, I suppose, to try and have agriculture added to the curriculum within schools in the UK, and I think there's absolutely scope for it.
It's a great idea.
I mean, hard to believe I hide most of my opinions actually on this, but on this podcast. But I'm a real believer that the whole school curriculum is just a nonsense here. Not the whole of it, but majority. Like for example, kids here leave school having no idea what VAT is. Do you know what I mean? What's VAT? Iona, for example, no idea about VAT. How to do a self-assessment tax form. Like I left school, I'd never once done it. That's like if you're self-employed, you have to do your own taxes.
Okay.
I think in America everybody does their own taxes, so I'm sure they teach that in school.
Right.
Like here, they don't teach it. They expect you just to leave school and figure it out yourself.
There's no
But-
life skills.
But they'll teach you. But they'll teach you about they'll do religious education and sexual education's important. So I've not got an issue with that. But there's all sorts of other daft stuff thrown into the curriculum that is not required.
Liberal arts type education. That's what that sounds like to me. In the
Okay.
United States, we have liberal arts programs, and students are learning to think critically, but they're not getting the practical skills that they really need.
practical
They're
skills, that's
balancing
where we lack.
They're balancing their bank account and making sure they don't overdraft. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
budget and-
how to get a mortgage.
What does APR mean?
Obtaining insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, when,
Yeah.
when you get a loan and it's 5% APR,
What does that mean?
Folk don't even they can't work that out. They just take the total and go 5%, and that's what I should be paying. But it's you've got to work this out over the years. The depreciating values, the loan comes down. There's so many factors in that sum that you're trying to work out that they just go to the guy that's selling the car or whatever they're buying, and he tells them what it is, and they go, all right, okay, yeah, that sounds great. When it's never as good as it sounds.
So we're starting to see more curriculum in the United States, both at the high school level and at the university level, in personal finance and the practicalities of
brilliant.
that. Yeah, it's really helpful, and it does teach them things about APR, how to obtain a loan, what your credit score depends upon.
Brilliant.
You're definitely
those kinds
ahead of where
things.
the
Yeah.
UK is. in
Yeah, I mean,
terms
I'm a
of
long
that.
time out of school right enough, so I couldn't comment on what it currently is like. I mean, I don't know.
It's still the same.
Well, it's still be pretty much the same, yeah. And there'll be people listening to this that will have kids at high school and stuff just now where, yeah, the amount of time wasted on things that are not required compared to what should be required is massive. For example, I left school being able to work, and I couldn't do it now, but I could work out the volume of a sphere. Okay? I could work out the volume, and I could work out, at the time, I think it was the velocity and all this to do with aircrafts and all that, but I knew nothing about that. And it's like,
It's a
that's-
life skill
well,
that you would
plus,
utilise.
Plus, if I want to work at velocity, like you go into university.
I
As long as your
remember it.
fundamentals are right.
I remember
mass-
it though. Mass times acceleration equals velocity.
There you go. There you go. And there will be a day that will come in handy. It's just not yet. So yeah, I do. I think the whole education thing needs a real shake up. And I think agriculture should absolutely be on there. In terms of how unhealthy we are as a country. You know, the UK is chasing America down in terms of being very unhealthy. Our NHS is at break, and everyone's going about NHS and what it's costing being at breaking point, but we don't help it. Like us as people do not help it by being so unhealthy, and we really need to change that.
You're still way ahead of us, I promise. You walk way more than we walk, and you don't drive your vehicles as much as we drive our vehicles.
Yeah. Did someone tell me? I should actually. Could you check this out, please? It's 60. What someone said? I think it was 61% of Americans are on regular daily medication.
Oh, that's probably true. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
61%.
That wouldn't surprise me.
How many Americans on daily medication? I think is the search. There's a film called Wall-E.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right now, you'll never have seen it. Probably it's a cartoon, right?
I think I've seen it.
With
yeah.
the robot.
Yeah.
It's a wee robot, and
yeah.
he's recycling the world, and it's
Yes.
kind of like what maybe could happen, you know. And it's when humans have polluted the planet so much, and it's uninhabitable, and it's fascinating seeing like the humans just don't move. So eventually their bones stop being bones, and they just sit and float about in chairs, and they just eat everything mush. And it's just this real extreme look at the
Yeah.
future. But it's obviously a bit of a dig at us just now.
Yeah,
'Cause
come
it's
on.
yeah, it's a bit of a dig at
Yeah,
us just now.
I'm sad to say that the U.S. is leading the world in that concept.
And
Yeah,
why
it's-
is that?
yeah.
Why is that?
Too many conveniences available to us, and
Yep.
not enough emphasis on just taking care of ourselves. you know?
Yeah.
It's just not there. We get in our cars and drive 2 blocks to go to the store rather than walk, and our society is built on on the technologies that we have, and we've taken advantage of them to the point that we're damaging ourselves. I
Yeah.
think 65.
65% of Americans are on daily medication.
And what's the UK stat?
Oh, there you go. Look up UK. Jeez, I can't believe that's true.
65.
65%. Wow.
Yeah.
And just because we're going on tangents, and we have quite a fascination with America here in the UK, of course we do, because you guys were us at one time. But like, what do you think about this healthcare boss getting assassinated?
And it's a scary thing that, mean, you should see the social media posts. I mean, some people are applauding the assassination. That's ridiculous.
It's insane, the reaction
ridiculous.
to it. Yeah.
Maybe you should do a wee overview just for people who don't know.
I think most of us will have heard, unless you've been totally out of the loop with the news. I suppose this will be out a couple of weeks on from it. Maybe the guy will be caught by then. But essentially, a pretty professional looking hit. I'm not sure it was. It's maybe just a guy with military experience, but certainly a very professional looking assassination. The guy's waited for the CEO of
United Healthcare, one of the big healthcare companies, and he's basically put a silence gun, which is very professional. I believe he shot him once in the leg to put him down. Then his gun jammed, and he just casually blocked the jam, recocked it, and put 3 bullets into him. After that, and they had the bullets engraved in the bullets were delay, deny, defend, which is that there's a book I believe written about American healthcare companies, and that is their motto of first of all delay it and hope the person dies or something like that as part of the thing. Defend your decision not to pay it out because you can pay for big lawyers. Delay
and
deny the claim is obviously the big one. But
UHC, their main priority is to sell insurance, health insurance, and so they don't run hospitals. They sell health insurance, and so when people make a health insurance claim, sometimes it gets denied, and it really causes great hardship, and it's really a part of the business. It's bad. It's a bad situation for everybody involved. So people get very upset when their claims are denied because they believe they should have coverage, and the insurance company says they don't. So that's really the rub, and you can see how the insurance company's image could be tarnished. They're this huge company, one of the Fortune 5 companies. So they're as big as Walmart and Amazon. They're that big. Huge. And when people think that they are the adversary, then they really look like the bad guy. And so they have an image problem. But I don't care how bad an image problem you have. Taking the opinion that people should be murdered is it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. It's mad. And what I will say, my thoughts on it would be that it's more likely it's someone whose family member has died as a result of something than, I mean, how often do you get, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, of course it does, but like a paid hit, like there's all these theories about a paid assassin and all this kind of stuff, but I mean, the safe money would be on it someone whose family member has been, especially with what's written on the bullets and that, it's very personal and very sending a message, And it seemed to me like he wasn't bothered about getting caught. I know he's been very good at getting away, but like you do that in the middle of New York, you want it to be seen and you're not bothered. If you wanted to get the guy, you get him at home and you disappear. Like to do it in the middle of New York like he did.
It was such an interesting story, and how could that guy have gotten away?
Oh, it's mad to have a great picture of his face. Yeah. What I mean, the most ridiculous thing of the whole thing is, right, the guy that was murdered was on millions, multi-millions, like one of the biggest pay packages of a CEO, and the company's worth multi-millions, and they offered £10,000 reward, $10,000 reward. Yes. I mean, it was actually, they'd have been better off for nothing. Like, it was such a ridiculous, I know. I'd have thought, like, even his wife and that must have been like, make that $1 million. Like, a $10,000 reward for dobbing this guy in. When you're talking
That's insane.
Even that almost leans into the narrative of the insurance companies, being so stingy. It's like they won't even put out money for this to get the killer of this guy. But anyway, it's big news here. It's a huge story over here. Folk love a TV show, and it's like a movie, isn't it? Because it's like Day of the Jackal or something like that. It's like
it is, and it's something that people are following. And you are one of those followers. Obviously, you're reading it daily just to see.
I mean, it's fascinating to me. There's such a good picture of the guy's face, and they can't
crazy.
They don't know who.
That just from CCTV.
Oh, it's a great picture of him at a hostel chatting to a lassie, and I think that was the one time he let his face down. Was apparently a lassie asked to see his face or something like that, and she was pretty, and it just beat him. He just gave in a bit and flashed her a smile, and
they've got it.
It's like an American movie, isn't it?
It will be at some point. You just can see it. There's somebody writing this already. The story behind it all. You can imagine. Yeah, Ashley, what's the UK stats? 56%. Okay, so we're not on our high horse so much. How can that be right? 56% of UK people are on daily medication. Wow. That doesn't count Barocca and that kind of stuff. No. Multivitamins. No.
We never got to your question.
I know.
Yes, sorry. I love a
He's
tangent.
really good at that.
I love a tangent.
Okay, so the differences. Let me think. So obviously, Scots UK residents in general are very aware of how much larger the United States is geographically in terms of area. And the discussion is often how much space we have to do agriculture, to how big our farms are. So that's, I think, one big difference. Not only the fact that we are larger, but the fact that people here in the UK are very aware of how much more land and space we have to have a larger agriculture industry. So there's one thing. I think our agricultural colleges, because of our land grant system. Are you familiar with our land grant system? President Lincoln gave every state some land to build colleges on to educate the common man. So every one of those colleges, universities, has a college of agriculture within it. And so we have universities that focus on agriculture, at least in every state, and several states have many more. Yeah, so that's a big difference. There's a lot more focus in our education system on agriculture. We already mentioned how it's integrated into our public school system, and that's not the case here. Yeah.
Is the general public very pro-farmer in the States?
So it kind of depends on what context. It kind of depends on the context. So if you're talking about, do they trust farmers and do they think farmers are good people? Absolutely. And frankly, I don't think our agriculture industry does a very good job of taking advantage of the reputation of the farmer. That's just everybody would trust a farmer, right? So what they don't like are some of the practices, right? So they believe. I think the general public in some instances believes some messages that activist groups would put out there that's more anti-agriculture, right? And the truth probably lies somewhere in between what the activists are saying and what the agriculturalists are saying. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But those activist groups, that's another thing about U.S. agriculture. The activist groups are really powerful, and they can have a really they're very good communicators, and they can have a big impact on public perceptions of agriculture, and that probably happens in the UK as well.
Yeah, they're very good at throwing money at PR and Facebook ads.
We have a lot to learn from them in the agriculture industry. We should see how they communicate and do better. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it does go to the thing though. It's so hard. Like the money is. You can basically get any message across you like if you have money.
Right.
I think we're not going to go back to it, but look at the election. You know, he who spends the wisest in terms of advertising and demographic targeting comes out on top. And farming, and we saw it with the vegan movement. Multi millions, into the 100 of millions spent on advertising vegan products here in the UK, trying to really get that to take off. You had Beyond Meat, I think, was one of the big ones. Really pushing forward. They had burgers and McDonald's. You had Greg's, which is a baker's we have here, is very popular, doing vegan sausage rolls and all this kind of stuff. But I think that's dying a death. Like, I think they tried it. They tried to push agriculture out and go down this vegan route and stop destroying the planet, and it's all the farmers' fault, and it's failed. Rightly so, because it was a lie.
It was. So if you're a vegan, you're still pro-agriculture because some farmer created all those vegetables.
We're all fed by farmers.
That is our whole slogan here is we are all fed by farmers.
Right. It didn't make any sense.
And that's my point. This is for whether you're vegan or not, or what your belief, you're still fed by a farmer.
Right.
Unless you're just fish, then maybe it's just a fisherman. But 99.9% are fed by farmers, including the vegans. But it wasn't more so about that. It's about this narrative. I have a real issue with this narrative, and we're seeing it now. Have you heard this product called Bovaer? So it's a product that was big in the news this week. Arla are testing it just now on some farms. It's basically this additive that goes into the feed for the cattle, and it reduces their methane.
Yes, I read about it.
Yeah.
Total backfire.
Total backfire, but I hope the momentum keeps on with it because they're building a multi-million-pound site at Dalry, which is Dalry is in Ayrshire. Anyone listening, we are 15 minutes, probably 25 minutes from that site. I'm going to go a wee drive by and look at it because, and again, we have some politicians that listen into this here, so it'd be good to know if it's true that Scottish Enterprise, which is from the Scottish government, it gave them £10 million, because if they did, that's insane. Because they're a multi-million pound, they're backed by a multi-million pound, billion pound company. Why is the taxpayer giving them 10 million towards this thing? I know why they're doing it, because they say it's a green incentive. It's green, but there's somebody making a fortune out of it. And as Andrew Wright, who we had on it, made a great point, the methane's there for 12 years. you start feeding this additive, you get a benefit for 12 years. Taking away any potential health issues for humans, take that out of the equation just now, you get your benefit for 12 years. After that, you have to just keep doing it to stay the same. So the guys that are making that are just printing money for till the end of time.
Yeah.
You know, it is an absolute money-making scam. And like, we need our government or somebody to stand up to it, is my thoughts on it. Do you have that in the US?
So yeah, you were making me think about the differences again, and I think that our farmers aren't as influenced by those activist type messages, and I think the farmers here sort of bought into those messages a little bit better, and they've really sort of they've maybe as a result done a better job of embracing sustainable practices. But here's something that's really important: sustainable practices also mean economically sustainable practices.
Yeah.
And so what I have seen is that a lot of farmers have adopted some practices that the only way they can be economically sustainable is if the government pays them to do it.
Yeah.
And that money is not going to be there forever. Yeah. So economic sustainability is a big part of sustainability, right?
Yeah, I'm 100%. 100%. No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. And I think we have been good as a farming community of accepting we need to do our bit. You know, in the same way that every sector has to do its bit. I just wonder, I mean, to me, it's so corrupt.
So that's really the difference. There's maybe a bit of corruption, but maybe more importantly, our farmers in the United States are a little bit more critical of those sustainability messages because they understand that if they can't make money, then their farm is not sustainable. It won't be there. So, and they'll have to sell it to a larger farm, and they don't want to have to do that. So I think that there's a much stronger awareness of economic sustainability in the U.S. And I'm not saying, I don't know what the difference is in subsidies and government support, but I'm pretty sure UK has a lot more government support and involvement in agriculture than in the United States. But we do still have a lot of government programs in the United States too.
Do you have inheritance tax in the States?
We do.
Yeah. So would the farmers pay inheritance tax?
So it has limits like those that were proposed in this. I'm not an economist, but our inheritance tax has like a $2 million limit, so no tax until you reach about $2 million. But $2 million in the United States, 100 acres of land could cost $2 million. So there's that. But we have similar limits to what were proposed. Yeah.
Okay, and then is it half rate after that, or
I don't
something
know.
like that?
I said, I'm
you
not
don't
a policy
quote it,
person. I don't want to. Yeah.
Okay, so something similar to us though. It wasn't tax free. Like we were.
No, not tax free.
No, and that's part of our issue with an issue we face is that a lot of Europe has similar to what the Labour government's brought in. It's hard it makes it a bit harder for us to fight it because European farmers are already paying the same as what they're proposing us to pay. Not that I'm saying it's right at all. I'm just saying it's another hurdle to standing up to it. And now you're telling us Americans have a similar thing as well. Do you use hormones in your? You won't if you don't finish them, I suppose. What do you think about the hormones in cattle?
So we do use hormones in beef cattle, not in dairy, and the hormones they're really they do help growth, and they seem to be pretty acceptable in the beef industry. So I would say implants are fairly common in the beef industry, not okay in the dairy industry.
Why not?
We don't use them. Just public acceptance, and
Well, plus hormones come through milk.
Yeah.
A lot more than they would in like beef.
Do they?
Yeah, well, like you think of a feeding a child, like it's crazy what comes through milk.
Because the milk coming out every day.
Yeah, but also milk changes. Like I think I'm right in saying like milk can adapt. Like it's incredible. Like I think Lizzie told me some mad thing that like if your child's sick, when you're breastfeeding, the milk will change.
To like give them
more antibodies or
whatever they need.
Your body.
Body's so amazing.
The hormones
isn't
of a
it?
female are insane. Like, it's part of the reason why I think like 80 or 90% of studies in the human body are done on men.
I know.
Because men are the same all the time.
Yep.
Women, you've got
Your
postmenopausal,
cycle.
premenopausal. You've got while they're on their period, while they're off their period. There's so
But
many.
it's literally women are like
going in a hormonal
literally
thing.
constantly.
Exactly.
They're
And I think that's
cycling.
part of the issue with the milk. I think. I mean, I'm not saying it does pass in the milk, but I think a lot of things do.
Right.
come through in the milk.
So in the U.S., those implants are for steers for slaughter only. So you give them to them maybe even twice during the steer's lifetime. But by the time the steer's about 14 months old, it's almost time to be slaughtered. So they receive those implants once or twice during that.
And are you aware of any human health issues with it?
I'm not.
No, and I haven't heard any. The part of the issue, I believe, is ethics. I think is the issue. But my argument to the government or to whoever, and I'm not saying what to go down this route, but when they're talking about this Bovaer thing to reduce emissions, if we're taking you're saying they're getting them 14 months ready to slaughter.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us will be taking them over 20 months. So surely the best way to reduce methane emissions would be to take 6 months off the process of finishing cattle.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Also 6 months less cost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, should we actually be realistically looking at following America's suit? If our big argument's the methane of cattle, which I do not believe in, can I just say? I don't believe. What I do believe is the cost of finishing of beef is is incredibly high, and it's very hard to make money at it. And that is our argument for you guys importing beef here, is that, well, look at the advantage you've got over us, because you can stick a hormone in them and finish them faster than we can. It's not a level playing field, so why should we get your beef here?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Do you know? But you could argue the same. What about Argentina and stuff? Do they use hormones?
I don't know. Good question. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, someone put it to me before, and I'm sharing the idea because I liked it. Is that if we really want to reduce emissions from farming, why aren't we finishing beef faster by using a hormone?
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
And is it just the ethical thing?
Right.
So
it is, and also a lot of misinformation too about what happens if you consume beef that has been treated with hormones, and the research on that seems to show that it's safe, and but there are a lot of organizations in the United States who would argue that it's not safe for children, that it causes children to mature early, or other kinds of myths like that. And I think that those myths haven't really been busted as well by the agriculture industry.
Okay. But there maybe is something, like, I'm not saying there's not, can I just say, because I know very little about hormonal beef, so I'm not saying that if there is a clear issue with giving it to kids, then I'm obviously dead against it. Yeah. But it's an interesting thought. Is it just the ethics of it? Funny they haven't just busted that myth, but then it's very expensive to do any sort of study. Then you could argue the beef industry has the
money to do it.
Most foragers don't supply sheep and cattle with enough cobalt, copper, iodine and selenium, critical to digestion, immunity, reproduction and growth. When it comes to supplementation, there's a danger of under or oversupply. But when bolusing with Animax Tracesure, you can be sure every animal has enough for up to 6 months in one single application. Animax, giving what it takes.
Sheep's not very big in the States.
Growing, I think. My kids raised sheep and showed them at shows, so that was fun. But we in my state, we don't have a lot of sheep production.
And what age are your kids?
My kids are they've just graduated from college, so they're out trying to be earners right now. And it's
tough.
What did they study?
My daughter studied agricultural communications.
Yeah,
she's in our program. Yeah, mm-hmm.
That's a win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
so, what's the job she's going for?
So she will probably work for an agency, a public relations agency that sort of has some agricultural clients. That's most likely her career path. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And your son, you said as well.
Oh yeah, he's got a cool job. So he works for UHC, the fighting league.
I know
and
it.
He does social media video, and right now he's been assigned to the power slap.
Yeah,
so he covers. He travels the
I watch
world.
those videos.
Well, those are his videos. Yeah.
Does he do those? Does he? I watch those videos.
What are they?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's Dana White is just, he's into making money. Obviously, it is brutal. It is absolutely brutal.
What is it?
You stand face to face with someone across a tiny little table, right? And you take turns slapping each other in the face full force.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, right.
I know, but you can't flinch. You can't. What is it? You can't flinch. You can't move your face.
turn,
You have
yeah.
to. You have to stay still and just let somebody slap you full
Oh,
pelt.
jeez.
Oh, and it's mad. There's like folks' ears are bleeding.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Like
they get knocked out from a slap. Knocked
Oh,
out.
there's more knockouts than there is in UFC.
Right.
Because like I think it's the jaw. It's the jaw that knocks you out. It's if you move the jaw, and there's some thing with your brain. Look, it's so, I don't know how, I don't think you'd be allowed to do it in the UK.
It's tough. No, I can't believe it's going to continue, but
No.
so far they're allowing it. Yeah.
No, I agree, I don't think.
So yeah.
There's also the novelty wears off it once you've saw a few folk knocked out with a slap.
Loose effect. Have you seen the one where they slap the wrap and then you've got your mouth full of water, and you've got to try not to.
Oh yeah, that's that comedy thing. Aye, it's
you
just
do it
like a
with a
tortilla wrap.
Oh,
And you just slap them, and I don't know why it's so funny, but
Yes.
and you've got to hold the water in your mouth while they slap them. I know the kind of thing you mean. It's funny to watch as well, because you don't understand why it's funny. It's one of these stupid social media things. So, do you think you've had a successful trip in the UK? Do you think your message is getting across?
Oh, I think so. So we've spent a lot of time just kind of buried in developing the curriculum, and we're just now starting to do some promotion of it. But we've got some people signed up for the modules already at SRUC.
Is this going to be at Barony and at?
So it's virtual. It's online. So so literally anyone in the world could sign up for these classes through SRUC.
Okay. To learn how to communicate better. Sorry. To learn how to communicate better.
That's it, about agriculture, yeah.
Okay.
So it suits somebody in jobs like QMS or, these bodies that are really meant to be public facing and representing agriculture.
Absolutely.
This would be great for them.
I would think QMS would be at the top of the list of people who would support programs like this, because it's going to provide some employees for them down the road, yeah.
Brilliant.
And when would people be able to sign up for it?
They can sign up now. The course course will really begin in February, and we have 5 micro credentials that we offer, 5 different modules, I would say, different topics. But they could sign up for one, or they could sign up for multiple.
And do they have set time to complete them? Yeah,
I think it's a year to complete, and it's very self-paced.
Mm-hmm.
So I do these lectures and PowerPoints and visuals, and they literally have to work through about 12 lectures to complete the module. Yeah.
Cool.
Are you quite a popular professor?
Popular.
Do your students like you?
Yeah, they like me.
Yeah,
they do.
You're one of the cool guys.
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
I was much cooler when I was a professor at your age. I'm not as cool.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with what's cool and what's not.
It is, and I've almost given up.
You don't say things like slay and
fire. Don't do fire. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I watched a TikTok recently. There's a really popular TikTok trend just now where it's like older generations trying to say what the kids are into now. Like these blinds are slay. Ayrshire Blinds did one.
It was so
Blinds
good.
did one. Like these blackout blinds are fire.
Yeah. And then, like,
the guy
Slay Queen.
Slay Queen, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. It'll be very, it makes me feel old.
It helped me to have my daughter in my program for a while, because she kept me in touch with what those words meant.
Yeah, so yeah. She could tell you afterwards. So you don't
hey, Dad, that meant this. And so, I got that. So now I don't have that anymore, so I have to figure it out on my own.
Right. No, good on you, Jeff. No, I think it's really important, as I say, for the future agriculture, that we can put the message across correctly. And certainly not talk down to people, bring them into the conversation, and show them that farmers are just normal people like the general public. Like, we are the same. We're not big money. We are just trying to make a living, do something we love doing, and the great thing is, like, we take pride in the produce, so it gives them a better quality product. It's not just about numbers.
Yep.
What is there anything else you want to add about the agricultural communications before?
That program, we really want to pitch it a little bit, if you'll give us the opportunity.
Absolutely.
It has 5 modules, but it's meant for professionals, first of all. So it could be a working professional who wants to go back and get some further training in communications. It could be someone who sort of has a good agriculture background but needed more practical communications training. So they could take a module in integrated marketing communications and learn how to develop a marketing communications plan, or the science communication, or crisis communication. Yep. Those are some digital communication is another topic. So then there's an introductory module. So those are the 5 modules. And I think that working professionals, this would be a really good sort of addition to their further education. But also it could be maybe a graduate student who wants to pick up a few more sort of modules to add to their current graduate program. I think the program appeals to both types of students. But the fact that it's self-paced is really good for a working professional. If they've got kids at home, after they get the kids in bed, they can sit down and watch a lecture and take notes and do some reading. Yeah.
And where could they access this? Where would they go to find it?
They'll need to go to the SRUC website.
Okay.
That's
just Google it. SRUC,
just Google SRUC
agricultural communication.
That's it. So I think they could probably get it if they just Googled that. SRUC agricultural communications. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sounds
Sounds
great.
good. I think it really appealed to people. We have a lot of farm diversifications here in the UK too, and where marketing is such a big part of that and speaking to the public. So I think it ticks the boxes for them. Massively.
Absolutely. I've been to some of those farms where they're really doing a lot of marketing communications with no training. And they do
Yeah.
a decent job, but man, if they really understood some of the basics of, then it would help a lot. Yeah.
Level up.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully they hear it here and they come your way. Now, before we wrap up, Jeff, we did say we do a quiz with everything. Now, we do plan to do a grand final. If you do too well, we might have to fly you back. It's a terrifying thought.
I'm going to get some caffeine because I'm pretty sure I'm going to.
Yeah, that'll be cold by now. It's hard that, isn't it? You try and get a coffee and you get too
I
intense and
know.
your coffee gets cold. But
Yeah, that's
you've
okay.
had enough anyway, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so get yourself in the zone. Okay, you have 2 minutes. 2 minutes, as many questions you can get correct in 2 minutes. You've got to try and go on the leaderboard. Are you a good quizzer?
I'm just hoping to be better than Becca.
Poor Becca. Poor Becca. Someone has to be at the bottom. That's what I always say. Do you know what I mean?
I just, again,
Iona's like, yeah.
I need a 3.
Okay. Let's go for it. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Where was the world's first national park?
Yellowstone.
Yes! Sodium chloride is better known as what?
Salt.
Yes. Although he did not invent it, who was the first to mass produce the ballpoint pen?
Bic.
Laszlo Biro. Which British inventor was known as the father of steam?
You can pass.
I don't know. Pass.
James Watt. Beginning with the letter F, what is the term for a tightrope walker?
Almost.
Pass.
Funambulist. Derived from the Mexican word chaparral, what is the name for the leather protective trousers worn by cowboys?
Chaps.
Yes. What is the name of the Greek/Turkish dessert of phyllo pastry filled with nuts and flavoured
Turkish
with
delight.
honey? Oh, baklava. Known as the Great Red Spot, this atmospheric feature has been seen since the 17th century on which planet? Great Red Spot.
Saturn.
Jupiter. If somebody is arrested for ABH, what have they committed?
Assault. Battery.
No.
Actual
That's a UK question.
actual bodily harm. The US Open is the first of the year's tennis Grand Slams. True or false?
False.
Yes. What is the name of the test that depends on a human being being able to tell whether or not they are communicating with artificial intelligence or a human operator on a computer?
Pass.
The Turing test. Bookum Dano was a catchphrase used by the character played by Jack Lord in which TV series?
Dragnet.
Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, you knew that one.
Who was the lead singer of Nirvana who shot himself in 1994, aged 27?
Kurt Cobain.
Yes. The Canadian actress Kim Cattrall was in fact born in which country? A. Australia, B. France,
Pass.
C. England.
Hang on, there's multiple choice.
Australia, France, England.
England.
Yes.
Time. 6.
Six.
Imagine not knowing Hawaii 5. I thought it was American.
It is American, but
Bookum
that's a
Dano.
long time ago. I was,
Yeah, true,
I was
true.
7.
True. Bookum Dano. I would say that's when
I should have known that
The
one,
old
you're right.
boys, the old boys. I was in the police for 12 years, and the old boys in the police would use that crap
All the
pattern
time.
all the time.
Yeah.
Bookum Dano.
Bookum Dano, like just
Yeah.
terrible patter. But
Yeah.
they would use that a lot. So 6.
6, that's not bad.
Yeah,
Middle.
respectable.
Very respectable.
Okay.
You could be as high as here, or if we put you way about down here, you're still on 6. Do
I think the most recent should go at the top. So
you think so? Think you work that way? Okay. We'll
be easier to move them down than to
yeah, moving up. You're right. You're right. So slot you in there on very respectable. I think.
Good questions, yeah.
They were good questions. It'd been a redneck if you got the pun intended. If you got the first one wrong.
Yellowstone.
First national park.
Yellowstone. Yeah.
Yeah, Yellowstone. Are you anywhere near that?
I am not. I'm 13 hours.
Have
from
you been to it?
Yellowstone. I have seen it from a distance, so I haven't been into the park.
Okay,
but
I always do fancy it. Like it does sound like a really nice place to
Nice
go.
place,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is it Yellowstone? There's some crazy triangle where there is no law. I watched a video about this by Tom Scott, and there's like a part where the state lines, nobody claims a bit.
way.
So there's no law because no state claims this little triangle.
Really?
Yeah, there's some crazy
I
thing
like
don't
that.
know.
Interesting.
I wasn't aware of that.
And you could technically be murdered there
Right, Cammy, don't.
It's not going to be. That was his argument in the YouTube video, but there's no law enforcement covering that area.
We triangle.
There we
Okay,
go.
good
We
to know.
triangle.
Yeah, good to know.
Random
Yeah.
things you see on YouTube.
Man, I'll tell you, the Yellowstone show has it's really made things hard for farmers because we have to explain why we don't have helicopters to herd our cattle.
Some of them do.
and we don't-
Well, in Australia, maybe not in America, but yeah.
Yeah,
Did none of them have it in America?
I would not be able to afford such a thing.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's necessity, to be fair, in
Yeah,
Australia.
because it's just
Really?
Yeah,
so,
so big.
vast.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
aye, they're just wee dinky.
Not common at all.
They're
No.
like wee dinky things you would never get in if you had any common sense. They're tiny little helicopters, and the guys
It's like a
drive
big
them.
drone.
Aye, the guys like nudge the cattle with the
Really? With the
the
yes.
skids or whatever you call them. Oh, they're off their head, like they're
Wow.
Australia, ain't it? They're just a different breed. Different breed.
Good one to end on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff, thanks very much, and good luck with future endeavours and with agricultural communication. I think it's going to be a real hot topic in the future. And thanks for coming in.
Definitely.
Great.
Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And we're back. Well done, Jeff. Good sport.
Yep.
Always. I love talking to Americans and from anyone from a different country just to learn a bit about how they do it.
I know we should try. So we've had an American and Australian.
Canadian.
Is that all?
Had
Canadian.
Sandy.
Yep.
We've had English people.
Yep.
Have we had
No
we've had Welsh, yeah, we had Hugh Conran, you weren't there, that was down at the Sheeran thing,
yeah.
Hugh was on. Welsh, we've had Northern Irish.
Yep.
Have we had anybody from the south? I don't think we have.
So we need Southern Ireland as a priority.
It's a priority. I don't think it's a priority. See the great
Sorry,
thing?
I lost myself there.
Yeah, no, there is no diversity statistics here in this business. Like, every employee is a white female. There's no diversity at all, like, totally outnumbered. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it this week. We'll be back. I have a couple of new things coming, interesting things. We're going to have a podcast from Australia coming out this week. I think I'm going to put that out on Wednesday.
Okay.
So we'll do a little intro for that and talk you through what that's going to be and how that's going to work moving forward. And we've also got another wee feature to add in that we'll probably bring out as well. And a few other things to discuss. We're going to shake things up a bit for next year and the way we do things and try and increase the content. But we'll talk about that very soon. Anyway, for this week, thanks for listening. I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we're all fed by farmers.
Welcome to the podcast where we're harvesting humor, planting delight. Join us, Iona and Cammy. Let's have some fun. It's time for